We're on. Welcome to UTB Blogcast number 19. We've got almost the whole crowd here today. Me, Dave, Bartron, James. We're missing an Australian man. Australian man couldn't make it today.
This is a sad thing. How do you carry on with the chap challenge when the chap's not here? It's not a good thing. It's kind of sad.
I think Chap's challenge should be getting here, first of all.
Okay, fair enough then, if it's that simple. He's failed. Failure.
We're a few days late today. We had Halloween, and oddly enough, I guess a few of us had stuff to do.
Yay.
So here we are on
stuff
Sunday.
To do instead of being a geek.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine having something to do on a Friday.
Yeah, exactly. What was your excuse, Brad?
I was out. I was out and about.
Were you?
I was.
That's extremely detailed. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Well, I had to see a play, put it that way.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So that was my
and I'll bet you would involve like a family member or something. But there you go. My excuse is that I went to go see a potential new drummer for our band in the band that he's in right now that he doesn't necessarily really want to be in anymore. So that's why
Well,
Friday night was.
Hopefully his bandmates aren't watching this.
Yeah, somehow I doubt it, but that's just me. Oh well, that's what I did.
How'd it go, Dave? How would it go?
Well, he's a good drummer. He's very consistent, good drummer. You can tell. He was playing an electronic kit, which was interesting. And I don't want to bore everybody with all of this crap, but at least he came over and I had two of my other bandmates with me, and he came over and said hi. And none of his bandmates knew who we were, so it was interesting. It was a great evening, and they played some excellent tunes, I must say.
Cool. I love the drums, man.
Absolutely, me too.
So on to BlackBerry.
Something important, yes.
Well, we've seen some advertising, some promotions, and not, we were hearing a lot of people yelling and screaming that they want television commercials, but that we've seen some social media advertising, put it that way.
Yep.
Couple different styles even. We've got the little Android man floating in pools and showing up different places. We've got some kind of frightening pictures if you put different captions on them.
Yeah, I don't know if it's frightening, but it's a total eyebrow raiser like Spock would do. From a BlackBerry perspective, it's like, dude, really? You guys are going to show this picture? Wow, that is so unlike you.
And that's it. That's because, people have been asking, what do you think about it? And at the beginning, it's like, okay, the little Android guy is cutesy. That's fine. And then you've got the kind of the frightening ads, which I like those. But I also grew up watching Alfred Hitchcock. And then you've got you've got the newest batch of ads. Yeah, that's great.
It's
newest batch of ads that are kind of like, I don't know what you call it, high society type. You've got that girl that looks like a Prada ad, and then you've got the guy with the tattoos. So they're taking all these different routes to advertise this, and I'm kind of liking it. Instead of just having, I've said it for a long time now, we need to get away from pushing security, because it's just kind of boring. And
it's
we've
selling
got
vegetables to people who just want to eat cookies and candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it boring, or is it maybe it is boring, but this is starting to look to me like a subliminal or not so subliminal way, depending on who you are viewing it, to introduce security as something that's actually important in your world. You look at some of these grayscale or black and white pictures of people who don't necessarily look like they got all their clothes on, and with the statements, in those pictures, it's not really veiled, or it's veiled so thinly that people should be starting to take some time to look at the overall privacy of what they do every day. Willy-nilly send a Snapchat. Willy-nilly do an Instagram. Willy-nilly take a picture and let it go to the cloud. La-di-da, yada-da. And to me, these ads are starting to, if you look at where the ship is being pointed, it's been pointed over here. All we care about is enterprise security, and that's what we're going to do. These ads are like pointing the ship over here and starting to talk to consumers, and even enterprise. If you're smart enough to look at those pictures and look at the ad, if you're smart enough, then you'll start to realize that these guys are talking about all of us. It's not just this particular demographic. It's about all of us. It's funny that we're doing this on an Android system, but it's very interesting that we're doing it at all. To me, it's an all-encompassing statement. And the second thing is television. I wonder how long that's going to be around. We're all going to view content on a big screen, but I wonder how long ABC and NBC and yada-da and blah, blah, blah are going to be around, because streaming and the other content providers are all coming up. So are we looking at a Sly Fox thing to do? It's like, screw the TV advertising thing. Let's just go for what people do today. In my business, we've fully recognized that 80% of the people that we talk to have already done their investigation on the internet, whatever search tool they use, and they've already defined and discovered the 2 or 3 options that they have. And the reason that they're talking to you is because you're one of the choices that they've made as a preliminary opportunity as a product choice. And so what's the difference here? BlackBerry has gone and embedded themselves and seeded themselves in so many places, giving an awful lot, millions or billions of people something to look at without even turning on the television.
Well, that's a good point, and that's something I was talking to, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but I was talking to Ben from over at bb10 qnix.de, and we were talking about television ads. It was the same day that somebody went off demanding BlackBerry have television ads, and honestly, I don't see television advertisements anymore. The majority of my television watching is done through my DVR or Netflix. Advertisements get moved ahead, and what's the one thing that in this day and age that people are overwhelmed with is your social media, and we're all over social media right now. So speaking to him, I was telling him, it's like I really don't think that television does much for us over here. The only real television ads I see are the ones done by the carriers, where they're saying, we've got this phone available at our store now, or iPhone after the phone's been out for a couple months and the sales are starting to dip, or Samsung. Samsung is really big on the television advertisements. Those are all I see. And Ben is in Germany, and he was saying that they really haven't had any television ads in Germany for phones since a BlackBerry ad. And but he said that the majority of their advertising is through print, through magazines and newspapers. I mean, just imagine that if you had, you know, the Germans upset going, there's no magazine or newspaper ads. How many of us even look at magazines or newspapers anymore? That's a dead industry here in the U.S.
Anyone? Anyone?
Yeah,
Bueller?
in Canada,
Sorry, I'm just responding to a telephone call. Sorry.
in Canada, print is dying. Magazines are going up, and they're going online. You're seeing newspapers going to go online. We do get a fair amount of ads for phones, but of course, like you're saying, Brad, it's from carriers. It's carriers, and we did see for the last Apple, whatever they're at, 6S, we did see ones from Apple. They were not good. They lasted only a couple of weeks and they were replaced with ones. It's the same kind they show in the US where it's not about, they don't talk about the functions of the phone, they talk about the experience. Show an image, you know, someone doing, you know, saving someone's life and they have an iPhone in their hand. You know, there's nothing, was it an EMT or a paramedic with an iPhone in their hand. It doesn't say it'll save your life, but it gives you that emotion, that feeling. That only lasted for, what, a week or two? And they pulled it and replaced it with ones that explicitly say, no, here's the iPhone 6S. We can do this, I can do that, and those last a lot longer. But you'll see that, you'll see Samsung, and that's it. On TV, I don't see anything else. Online, I see a lot of BlackBerry, especially the Priv now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's just because it's tracking cookies. I've tracked all my sites and that. Which is why whenever I see one, I always ask, are the Android users seeing this? Now, I imagine they would be. But yeah, I don't think TV commercials are going to do that much. You know, especially here in Canada where there's fewer people are subscribing to TV. What they call the cord cutters. That's on the increase.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing if you got piles of cash and you want to soak all of the outlets. Go ahead and do it. Right now, I think that you know, BlackBerry has a targeted audience, and I think that they're starting to learn and know how to target them, for lack of a better term. So, you know, that's what they're doing. I don't think they're going to do any.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree with Dave. The cost is just high. It's just way too high. Now, if you know you have a home run that's going to sell on the same level as the Samsung Galaxies, then fine, because you can recoup it. But in BlackBerry's case, you know, it's not going to, you know, double BlackBerry's total company revenue. You know, so they're not trying to swing for a home run. They're trying to get a single. And then next device build on that, and next one build on that. Multiple steps to get to the goal instead of one jump, where they throw everything in one basket and put it all on, you know, number 35 type of thing. I think it's smart.
I would love to see television ads, and I hope we do. But I mean, I just see so many people on channels and the various BlackBerry sites basically wanting to string up BlackBerry because there are no television ads right now. And what happens next week when the phone is released if there's not any television ads? And I mean, you've got to look at your return on investment, and I just don't know if they're going to get a return on the investment for television commercials. I really don't.
My understanding is that one of the reasons why phone makers make these deals with carriers and go through the carriers so they can leverage the carriers' marketing. So the carrier can then market to their own user bases because they have direct links to their users, to their customers. Yeah, so they can. That's why my understanding why BlackBerry always wanted to. BlackBerry always believed in strong ties with carriers, and so that's my understanding. And it makes sense in the case of BlackBerry because they don't have the marketing budget like a Samsung or Apple. So.
Even HTC came out with some great commercials not too long ago. Who was it? They had there was some celebrity they had on their commercials, and they were funny commercials.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were a complete waste. They didn't do anything for them. I wish I would have.
You think it did
thought
nothing? Why do you say that?
Because the phone floundered. They lost all kinds of money. We all know what's happened to HTC. It was Robert Downey Jr. That's who it was.
Right. That's right. That's who it was.
And they were great commercials, and it was a waste. It was a waste of cash.
BlackBerry probably picked up on that.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure most marketing companies did. I mean, there's things that I'm sure work great for television commercials. I just don't see tech really being advertised much anymore. I mean, you're not really seeing computers being advertised unless it's a store saying what's on sale. You're not seeing. What kind of tech do we see on television commercials anymore?
Actually, what I see is just branding, like IBM. They're not promoting a particular product or service. It's just promoting the IBM brand.
Yeah, I think maybe the last of the Mohicans might have been HP and Dell kind of thing. And then, like Bartron's saying, it's a brand thing now. And look what happened to Dell and HP. It's not about a particular box or a thing. It's more like who you are and what you can do for someone.
I think Microsoft still does a lot of advertising of their Windows Surface tablets.
Yeah, there's a good counterpoint. And if you comb your hair right, it won't show.
Where I see Microsoft doing the majority of their advertising is in product placement. It's like you can't turn on a TV show nowadays without seeing a Surface or a Windows phone I mean, it's just like on TV. It seems like everybody has these. Meanwhile, in real life, you rarely see them.
Yeah, I think, Brad, the Windows phones are on a lot of TV shows that I watch. The actors are always using them.
Do they get anything done?
No. See it on House of Cards. House of Cards, the first lady. Basically, I seen one guy, one character put it on a wireless charger, and what you see like a home screen or a contact list, and that's it. They don't actually do anything with it.
No, the people that do anything have a BlackBerry. Oh man.
So come the 6th, when the phone is out, and say there are no television spots, and you start seeing fans going irate on Twitter, attacking BlackBerry for that. Because I've already heard people. There's already one person that put out a video and took it back down. Irate that there were no ads at that time before the phone was even out. And I hear that there's plans for like some organized campaign for once it comes out. Wouldn't our energies be better used on something else? Really?
Yeah.
We could be promoting instead of throwing BlackBerry's name in the gutter because we're not getting exactly what we want at the exact time that we want it. I don't understand this mentality that we expect BlackBerry to tell us every detail that we want to know right now, and we're not going to wait on it. And then if it's not exactly what we want to happen, we're going to jump all over social media and attack the brand.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a recurring theme.
I just I would just add that some of these folks, I don't know who they are. I mean, maybe I do, but I won't say. But, I wonder what their, business experience is. No offense, but I've been in sales for 25 years, and, direct sales is totally different than marketing, and I certainly don't know advertising, and so I understand influence, and, your direct selling is more like fishing, and marketing is more like farming, but they're both a type of influence. But I understand the umbrella of it. you know. But Chen's got really smart people, some in some office somewhere, and they're all, they're as smart as we are. They know what they're doing, and if I don't know. It's just I don't want to brush it under the rug. We're all fans. We have a right to have our thoughts, but I would never get on Twitter or anywhere else and say, well, they should have a TV a commercial. I don't know that. That doesn't, they know what they need to do.
So I'll tell you what, something that they're doing is working, because we've said it plenty of times here. I am the only BlackBerry user around me. I'm surrounded by Android users. I'm surrounded by iPhone users. That is what is here. And over the last week, I've had so many of my friends and family and acquaintances and coworkers coming up and asking me about the new BlackBerry, or telling me that they were online looking at the new BlackBerry. And these are not techie people. These aren't people that would ever find UTB. These aren't people that are going to the mobile sites looking this up. So they're getting hit with this somewhere, somehow, and they're interested. So something is working.
Yeah, that's my point. It's marketing targeted towards where the current tech demographic is always looking, and that is the YouTubes and the Instagrams and the all of the typical social media outlets and Twitters and whatnot, and so people that you never told about this new device are coming up to you because they know you're a BlackBerry guy. And where did they see it from? They didn't see it on TV. And so how smart is it that the information that they're getting is not on TV?
Yeah, the social media advertising is obviously working. It is.
Yes, obviously it is.
And I can't wait to see what kind of results we have from it. You look at the cost of what this advertising is, and it's minimal. They probably have an advertising company that's in charge of all this, but as far as actually putting it out there, you've got your banner ads, and all that's going to cost you. But your Instagrams and your Facebooks and your YouTubes, well, YouTube's going to cost you too. But a lot of that's free once you get it out there. So you've got minimal advertising costs. Whoever's in charge of your advertising, I'm sure, charges you. And they're getting this huge umbrella that's hitting us everywhere we go for probably less than the cost of a couple of television spots.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, I don't know that business, but something like a Super Bowl ad or whatever. Oh, wait a minute. Let's not talk about those.
Let's talk about them, because the people that are demanding television ads right now are the same exact people that could not shut up about how stupid the Super Bowl ad was for the BB10.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so you were angry, 4 years ago at that Super Bowl ad, but now you want it again, and you're not gonna shut up until you get it.
What do you do with those kind of people? They're chronic critics. All they do is criticize. So you tell them, okay, what kind of commercial should they do? Tell me. Give me a commercial idea. Describe to me the kind of commercial BlackBerry should have had. And most times when I run into those kind of people, they just shut their mouths because they have nothing to contribute. They just criticize. That's all they do.
Yeah, they're not creative, so they can't. You're right, though. I think that's the two personality types, and they're not creative at all, so they don't know.
They're just interested in criticizing. I've run into several people like that. No matter what you do, they criticize because that's all they want to do. They just want to criticize. So you stop and you say, okay, how would you do it? You put the ball in their court. So okay, if you're so smart, then how should it have been done? What kind of commercial? Who should they put in the commercial?
Let me get this straight, Bartron. You're criticizing the criticizer.
Exactly.
this is not a topic that we planned on talking about, but this is an important one, and it's actually something we had a lot of fun with in our BBM group the other night.
Yeah.
And it was something that I wanted to do on the next Idiot podcast because I thought it fell in line pretty good with Idiot, but we can't get the people together for that. Anyway, when did it become a thing that all of these fan sites decided if you wanted to be taken seriously, you needed to be critics? It's like it's not people supporting the brand anymore. I mean, there are still those of us that are doing that, but there's these sites that are just, they think that in order to be taken seriously, in order to have that journalism badge that they think they carry, which they don't, they're bloggers just like us, that they've got to criticize everything. And
well, it's not just websites. I mean, that's an old character trait. People try to seem smarter than everyone else by criticizing everything. They criticize everything, shoot everything down. It's a way of making them appear to be smarter than everyone else, because it makes you think, oh, I didn't see that, so maybe I'm not as smart as he is. No, I am smart. He's just a whining little bitch looking to criticize. You're just some insecure idiot who needs to feel superior to everyone, so he's going to criticize everyone just to make him look. An attempt to make him look more intelligent than everyone. I mean, I've seen that I think since I first started reading newspapers decades ago. You have those guys. That'll never change. It's just now they've gone from the newspaper columnist to or music review to websites.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. We're not allowed to say stuff that we said before, so I'm treading, on thin ice here, but.
Well, no, I'll say without naming names. This is what our joke was the other night, and it was what we should do is we should Mystery Science Theater the other podcasts that are appearing in the blogosphere, and just criticize the heck out of them. Just sit here and criticize them. But it's okay. At the end of that, we'll just say, hey, we're fans, so that makes it all right. Because
fans
that's
of the other blog. Fans of the blog site thing?
As long as you say you're fans, apparently, you can sit there and criticize the hell out of anything that you want to do. Just at the end say, oh, we're a fan. So you can sit there and say that you can have a 2-hour podcast where you can sit there and pick apart every single point of the priv, from the device to the advertising to John Chin to DTEC to every little piece of the device. As long as you finish it up and say, oh, but we're fans, we're excited for it. No.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it. I'm dropping the mic.
Well, like earlier today, and I will name a name here because I actually like the guy, and I'm saying it. And
I'm back.
I've got him as a contact. We've spoke before. I mean, I like him. I don't know if he likes me. Whatever. He called me cute. Okay. So anyway, and it's there unless Burke has removed it. But it was on Burke's channel, BB Powered. He posted up one of the ads, one of the priv ads, and it was the black and white guy holding the priv in his hands. It's a half-face picture with the priv in front of him, black and white.
The brag one?
Yeah, artsy type picture.
Yep.
And within the comments as I'm reading it, because I see that and I know what's going to happen, there's all these people commenting negatively on the advertising. And there is Jubei of the other blogs. Jubei Raziel, I'm probably mispronouncing his name, but I like the guy. I consider him a BlackBerry acquaintance, whatever, BBM acquaintance. But he's sitting there saying that he had a negative comment on that advertising. But then you look right next to it, and there's his avatar, which is a half-face picture of him in black and white. It's like the same picture, it's just a different model. And I don't understand why the advertising picture is horrible, but it's a great picture to have as an avatar.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything's there. It's out in the public. It's on Burke's channel, BB Powered. And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not trashing Jubei, even if that's what it sounds like. But at some point, we need to step back and be like, okay, we're just criticizing too much.
Haters gonna hate.
I have no comment on that because, you know, I'm ugly.
Yeah.
Basically, the reason one of the main reasons why I left the orange site was because it's not. There are people. They're so flooded with people who just want to hate on everything. I just got, aside from the trolling and the poor moderation, it was just so much hating. And then you get all the shit disturbers. People who just go there just to look for a fight. And you know those guys.
First.
Forget it. That's it's Stay away from people like that. Haters gonna hate.
Well, going back to Dave's comment, there's a reason why I use my logo as my avatar instead of my face. So good on Jubei for being able to do that I can't. But anyway.
There you go. Kudos to that.
Any more to talk about on the marketing part of it or the criticizing part of it? Because we kind of got sidetracked, as we do.
I have two comments on marketing.
Do it, James. Do it.
All right. So if I was able to have Chen's ear, and I don't think I would be telling him anything that he doesn't know, but I would say the two areas, because I really don't know if TV is the right thing, but the two areas I would focus on, and I know I said this on the blogs before I even got officially hooked up with you guys, I would find 10 influencers on social media that have a following and put the priv in their hands if they would take it and give them free support for a year and just go to town with this phone and have fun. And if you need any help, just give us a call, right into the tech people, give them support and let them have fun with it. And I bet you a lot of them are going to love it and they're going to comment on it. And I think that would be a clever way to get some pretty cheap exposure. And the other thing I think, and I guess we all know this, is, carriers are going to be critical. And I've just started tuning in mentally to how often I am assaulted by Verizon about why I should buy this Samsung or why I should buy this iPhone. And clearly I bet you that has a big impact. And I think if we get lucky, which I think we will, because I think the priv is just too good to squash. You know what I mean? It's just too good. There's no way these people that are in the other blogs and everything are going to be able to squash this phone. I just even if there's a little security concern here or there, people are going to go on and they're going to want to buy it. But I think if he works with the carriers, and I don't know how that happens, Brad, what kind of relationships you need to have or negotiate or whatever, I think that's the other area that's going to be big, besides what they're already doing.
You're right, James. That first part you said about putting the priv in the hands of celebrities, they kind of tried that with the passport. It was the passport, right? Where they gave it to, there was a comic book author and there was artists and there were musicians that they gave the phone to, and they just did little tidbits, but it wasn't really that in depth, and it wasn't really followed through with as well as it could have been, and it wasn't as the high-level celebrities that you would hope to see either.
Well, they did it with the Z30. They gave it to some bloggers. I know one of them, I think was a Digital Dad or something like that. And basically, it's this guy who always reviews iPhones. And but he went through and showed a lot of features, and the good features. Not the dinky stuff. He actually used it. He was talking about how he could use Miracast and stuff like that. Use a keyboard and wireless keyboard, connect to it, and it was very useful. Showed the on-the-go cable, and that I don't remember if it was a big site, but I know it was quite surprising because he usually just covers iPhone, and he gave it a good review. He didn't say it's the best. He didn't say it's the worst. What he said was it deserves to be in the conversation, on the same level as the iPhone and the Galaxy, and they did do that. And this was, well, I guess when did it come out? In early 2014, so I'll say a year and a half ago, I guess.
Yeah. What was the site that did the challenge for the going to the Consumer Electronics Show.
Wired,
CES.
I think it was.
Was it Wired?
Yeah, that was great.
Oh my God! And this guy gets thrown a Z30, and he's like, "What the hell is this thing?" Okay, it's almost like he got it because he was the loser.
Yeah.
To use it to cover the CES, and you could only use your phone, nothing else. That's all you were allowed to use. And the guy goes through these like 3 days or whatever what it was in intensive fashion, and won the event. I think, and I'm going to say kudos to you, man, because I think it was a lot to do with your ability to adapt, a lot to do with your recognition of a superior platform, emphasis on superior platform, and being able to use the tools that you did, to win the contest. These other people are like hugging walls and suffering and whatnot. It was just horrifying. And to read what he did, I'll have to dig his name up. It was brilliant, actually. And the guy wins with the Z30 as the device, which is kind of like a no-brainer. And it's too bad that didn't do more turnaround than it did, but whatever. I think that...
The right phone at the wrong time.
Yeah, I think that over the last week, we're seeing an awful lot of, I guess, opinions based on stock. And the stock, the people that are providing opinions based on stock values are doing some their usual negative things, which is really just disgustingly expected. But I'm hoping that for once we're going to see some normal, blogs come more on board. I don't know if you guys have seen this. What have you seen?
We're seeing a lot of it right now. We're seeing all kinds of mainstream media, not just the mobile tech media, not the BlackBerry media, but mainstream media jumping on board with the Priv.
Right. There's some horrifying negative spin because and really the only thing that anybody has negative anymore is what's in a name, and which is the most subjective and useless, pathetic thing to pick on. So I've really got a problem with any kind of verbiage or articles or whatever out there that people are using or putting out there that are picking on a name and saying that the price is too high, and I don't know.
So realistically, where are we seeing the negative articles come from? We're seeing them from The Verge. That's to be expected.
Market Watch.
Yeah. Seeking Alpha, Motley Fool, the places where the people are there to manipulate the stocks that they shorted. And then we're seeing them from, I like to say, former BlackBerry-centric sites. Because you go to the regular mobile sites that don't have a history based in, BlackBerry, and they're excited. You go to the Android sites, they're excited. I consider this a calling right now. We're seeing who is out to get BlackBerry, and it's the people that we always knew and a few people that we never expected.
So, Brad, I sort of see this as when we were pushing BB10 devices, which I know we probably still will be, maybe not to the general public as much or whatever, but, let's take the Z30. We were trying to, I say we, BlackBerry, was trying to convince, I think, the blogger community, the subset of the general public that we are. I guess, Brad, you probably have a better feel for just how many people if you added up all the blogs that exist, how many people actually are active in those blogs versus how many people actually use mobile devices. It's got to be a small percentage, I'm guessing. But in any event, just assuming that's true, they were trying to sell the bloggers on it and then hope that would push out to the general public. But I think what we have now with the Android platform is a device that is, from soup to nuts, already going to be exciting to those people. And so we're already, like you said, the general public is, I think, going to be interested in it whenever they see it. And so now it's trying to convince the bloggers that it's good instead of the other way around. And I think they're going to, and I know we've discussed this before, the public's going to like this, and then they're going to have to come on board with it. They're going to look stupid. Eventually they're going to have to say, well, I guess it's a pretty good device after all, since it's selling like crazy. And that might not happen the next month or two, but I'm convinced by the middle of next year, we'll all know this is a huge home run. Maybe sooner, I don't know, but I think it's going to be a huge home run, and they're going to have to, eat their words.
I think what we were doing before, and by we I mean the entire BlackBerry blogging community during BB10 when we were fighting for it, was we were hoping that our voice would influence the larger sites, the more mainstream sites, the full mobile sites versus the BlackBerry mobile sites, and that in turn gets to the mainstream media. And at this point, I don't think that's even an issue anymore. I mean, honestly, reading the articles that I've been reading in those mainstream media outlets, I would kind of prefer them not to listen to us at this point anymore, because they're pushing it. They're being positive about it. They don't need us to force them into a positive role, and I really don't want them hearing us complaining about an advertisement or, whatever there could be, a 2-megapixel camera. Ignore us saying that. Just go on and do your own thing and promote this device. That's the important thing.
I was trying to say that.
So, talking about the device, I know Dave wanted to talk about the peak and flow, or lack of peak and flow, on the Priv.
Yeah, just sending an email because one of my systems is down.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I just had to throw that at you right there, huh?
Yeah, no, that's okay. There was some verbiage based on some supposed usage of a Priv device. And of course, we don't know what software version it's on, or really what the version of the apps that are on that Priv are on. But this particular person was not necessarily, although he or she seemed to be familiar with BB10. This person was somewhat disparaging against the hub. I'll pick on that. Compared to the BB10, and that doesn't necessarily surprise me. The reason it doesn't surprise me is because the hub is such a, it's almost what BB10 was built on. So it's kind of a core thing. It's a core piece of software. On an Android device, I've never expected anything less than or more than a layer that could dig down as deep as it could, so that users could experience some hub-like kind of experience. This person was kind of saying that it's not worthless and useless, but it's kind of a pain because now you're ending up looking at 2 different locations for your messaging, especially if you have something like WhatsApp, which I don't, because that's not in the Priv's hub, according to this person. and so you sort of end up looking in these two different places. And so I think this person, I don't remember his handle, sort of called it useless. To me, well, I'm not really sure what to take from that because it's preliminary information. And as far as I'm concerned, what he has in his hand is not necessarily real at this minute. I saw other indications that those APKs for the priv had been updated and this wasn't a problem anymore. I'm not sure what to think until I get one in my hands, and I don't know whether I should. Should I?
So Brad, this goes to what you and I were sort of talking about. The general public is going to get this thing. They've never used BB10 before. They've been on Android before. You guys know better than anyone some of the flaws compared to BB10 that Android suffers. But this will be a way better experience than the other devices they've had. So for you and I, or anybody that's in our community, supposedly in our community, to get on and talk about how it's not as good as BB10, well, no, duh, it's not as good as BB10. But you know what? It's going to be really good for the average user who picks it up who's been on another Android or an iPhone, right?
Yeah, and let me go into a little more detail just from my understanding. I haven't touched the priv, but I've talked to people that supposedly have, and my understanding is the hub is not the same as the BB10 hub. It's just we can't expect that. Exactly like Dave was saying. It will combine all of your apps in there, all of your notifications, but parts of it will act like the hub that we know, like BBM will be able to open and work from within the hub. Supposedly there's other apps that will do the same thing as that, like what we're used to, but a lot of the apps will work within the hub like it will work within the Android notification center. So when you get a notification in your hub, you click on it, it will open up that separate app. Where we're used to being able to communicate directly through our hub without ever opening that other app, a lot of these apps won't do that in the Android world. But it will open up the other app. You can do your messaging. You can do whatever you need to do. And when you hit that back button, it takes you back to the hub. So is that as good as what we have in BB10? I don't think so. I really think it is a step down from BB10. But this is an Android device. And for Android users, this is going to be a world they've never even imagined.
No, I think you're right.
It is adding efficiency. It's adding efficiency that Android has never had. It's a great thing.
Yeah, I think that's the distinction that needs to be made. And one of the comments was from one of our other esteemed members earlier today, I think, was something to the effect of to Android users, it'll be heaven.
Yeah, exactly.
And to many of us BB10 users, it'll be a lesser experience. But the point is, because it is an Android device, and it can't be as heavily ingrained as it is in BB10 on an Android device, the point is that you're going to get some more efficiency. It's one step or two steps or three steps more than you have than you are currently experiencing. It's better. Is it as good as a BB10? I think on day one the answer is probably no. But that's an observation without having my hands on the device. Kind of unfair. Everybody knows
it's a trade-off.
It's a trade-off, and everybody knows that everybody's use case is different. And I could use the exact same device as you and use it in a different way, and be just as efficient for my use case as you could in yours. So, to be fair, there will be people that find a use case that go, wow, this thing is just the killer thing, and we're going to look at it and go, what? I've been doing that for 3 years.
I see it that they're bringing as much BB10 as possible to a platform, to Android, where you can still get your Google Play services and get the apps, which is what people have been complaining and wanting for so long. And the amount of BB10 that they're bringing to this phone is a whole heck of a lot more than I ever imagined they would be able to bring to that phone. It's like my initial thought was we would just be losing so much. And looking at it now, it would be workable. For me, it would be workable. Is it worth it for me to have all those apps to lose a few segments of BB10? Personally, for me, no. Because the trade up that you're getting with the Priv isn't something I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about those apps. I'm not concerned about Google Play services. Meanwhile,
I get that. I get that. And go ahead, James.
Well, what about the security too? I mean, we talked about the hub Dave brought up, but it's the security, isn't it exactly the same scenario? They're going to be more secure than they were before, that's for sure. And I don't know. I think I'm fairly read up on the DTech, but that sounds like a pretty slick addition to what they've had. I certainly don't. No one would say it's as secure as BB10. So why should I get on a blogcast or a post and complain that it's not as secure as BB10? Why shouldn't I just celebrate what they've done? And because it's going to get into a lot of hands of people, and they're going to love it.
Chin said in that initial interview that the short little BNN video that people got so excited about, but he put it out there. He said it. It was black and white. If you want apps, you've got Android. If you want security, you've got BB10. And this Priv is grabbing the best of both worlds. I really think it is. And for a BlackBerry user that complains that they can't get the apps that they want, the Priv is going to be the perfect device. For an Android user, the Priv will be a perfect device. It's going to be a step up from any Android phone that they've had. So, I mean, it's got its place. But to sit there and, as Dave said, be upset because something that you loved in BB10 isn't there on the Priv, it's a different platform. There's going to be things that aren't going to be there. You're getting something else in its place, and something else that a lot of people think is worthwhile.
Yeah, that's the thing. And if you're going to, well, I think that it opens up a huge, like Brad is saying, it opens up a huge, wide audience, massive audience. It brings people back to the platform that always loved a physical keyboard, and now they get that with all of the apps that they ever wanted. Not that I care about those, but that's not my use case. And it also speaks to large numbers of people who are interested in enterprise and security. And you get this digitally signed OS/ chipset along with BES. And now you've got more IT people interested in this kind of a device because, let's face it, there's lots of people, 80% or I don't know whatever the number is, people want to have in enterprise and BYOB, and here's a device that can satisfy a ridiculous number of people who want to use an Android device, and now the company gets to say, okay, that doesn't scare me anymore because of these three reasons, BES, the signing, and DTech, and you get all the apps. So I think there's a huge market for this particular piece of equipment.
So we already know Android sells like crazy, and they've got the largest share. And just look at the hardware and forget what operating system it's running. The hardware is unbelievable. I mean, it's It's sexy as hell. I personally, I want a passport. Verizon doesn't have it. But if I could choose right now between a passport and a Priv running BB10, I would be all over that Priv, man. I mean, that is some awesome specs, awesome hardware. So it's got to be a home run, right? There's just no way it's not going to sell.
Yeah, the only thing about that, James, is that I know that you're completely into selfies, and it's only a 2 meg front camera. So, you know,
good point, Dave. You're
right.
right.
Device for you. Is it the right device for you, man?
I got to shave my chest and get some pictures for the blogs.
Can we, like, unsee that? It's fine.
Does it fit? Hey, here's the thing I need to know. Does the Priv come with a selfie stick?
I hope not.
Stick. Yeah. Yeah, I hope not, too. It's just something about that whole thing.
I thought selfie sticks were only made for iPhones.
I don't know.
Well, we'll come up with a cross-platform selfie stick, sell it to Qnix.
Or something. Oh, what a day. I got servers going up and down.
I think I watched that video one time, Dave.
Yeah. It's not a good video.
Oh,
It's not
my bad.
good.
I had a totally different idea of what server you were talking about. Anyway.
It's a different server. Yeah.
So the rumored death of BB10, I had put that on our little blurb beforehand too, because we're still hearing it. Even today on one of our later channel posts, we had somebody quoting the death of BB10 again. And can we just put that to rest at this point? Chin has said it, BlackBerry said it, there's been various executives within BlackBerry that has said their BB10 is not going away. Now people are jumping on this developer post where they basically said everything's on hold. You know, and I mean reading between the lines, doing what everybody else is doing. Yeah, they, you know, don't expect anything new for the developers. Everything is still there. It's still being supported. But we've got to understand that their staff is less than it was a couple years ago. They are supporting 2 OSs right now. They've got an update on the way, which this update is to allow for a further security certification. Yeah, there's 2. I see your fingers there, Dave. There's 2 updates on the way. But initially, the point of this update is to get yet another security certification, which is something that BlackBerry's core customer base needs and wants. You know, that we're talking the high security governments, the hospitals. They're adding another certification to BlackBerry. If BB10 was going away and Android was the only way of the future, the one direction they were taking, why would they be going after further security certifications for BB10 as opposed to getting that initial security certification for Android?
Yeah, the point is that they not only want to, but they have to. The thing is that BB10 cannot go away. We are not in a maintenance mode. You can't be in a maintenance mode. There are people who have signed contracts, 3 or 4 months ago that have to be maintained. In Canada, you have to maintain something for 7 years before you are not allowed to, before you're allowed to not maintain it anymore. The simple fact of the matter is that it's not going to go away. What the question is what are they going to do with it? I don't know that. All I know is that there's 2 versions that I know of, and I don't have deep roots, but I am in a program, and I know that there's two versions on the roadmap. Lots of people know that. Everybody knows that. I don't know what. The fact is that it's not going away. It cannot go away.
Well, I'll just go back to the...
Go ahead.
Finish?
Go ahead,
I thought you were
Bertrand.
finished. I was just going to go back to say... What's that?
I said Dave and I talk too much. Just talk right over us. That's fine. We won't be offended.
Oh, I thought he was finished. I thought he was finished. Okay. I was just going to, repeat what I've been saying since the beginning. Is fact is, the most secure like the governments and that need the most secure platform. Android cannot be made as secure as BlackBerry 10. Therefore, they need BlackBerry 10. Now, one thing that really got the gears in my head spinning was a comment a few weeks ago by someone saying that there's a rumor that BlackBerry is working on a new platform that would be used to replace BlackBerry 10 and Android. And that makes a whole lot of sense. Because while you cannot make Android as secure as BlackBerry 10, given the modularity of QNX and BlackBerry 10, I think you could add Google's data mining code to BlackBerry 10. And in that case, you'd have a version of BlackBerry 10 for the BlackBerry. We'll call it, let's say, BlackBerry 10, and a version of platform with data mining for Google. That makes sense, and I think that's what we should be discussing instead of the other way around.
Well, Chen did say something along the lines of, in the earnings call, that the enterprise, some of the question was, I think it was the first or the second or third question he got at the end of the call, after all their comments. He said, they said something about the future of BB10, and he said, if my enterprise customers accept the security of Android, we could migrate them to Android or whatever. But he said they might be using something BB10, or they might be using some hybrid. He said the word hybrid at some point. I don't know if you guys remember that. So maybe that's, I guess, what you're talking about, Bertrand.
Which that was an answer to a pointed question where Chin, no matter where he goes, he's always asked, when are you going to shut down BB10? Can you shut down BB10? And he's got to answer. It's a public company. He's got stockholders. He's got people that are wanting results. He cannot sit there and say, no, I'm going to continue pouring money into a system that's not making money. He can't do that until he's making money. Once he's making money, he can do that. And I think the PRIV is going to make money. But you touched on something there that I think is much more likely down the road than transitioning people to Android, because being on an Android OS, BlackBerry does not own that. For a long-term solution, for a long-term plan, Android's not a smart way to go. I mean, you look at Samsung, you look at HTC, you look at all these people that are paying for that right now. They're limited in what they can do. With QNX, BlackBerry can do anything. And if we go back to our first blogcast when we were playing What If, think about what Dave was saying. What were you talking about on our first blogcast, Dave?
Probably we were talking about virtual machines.
There you go. And the name was the hypervisor, right?
Yeah. And I don't know what the status is of that today. You would think that they would have garnered some progress in that arena. I know in my world, VMs have become prominent, if not, like the go-to offering that we have in my business. And it just, again, the blog I wrote, and then back all the way back then, all you need is the right amount of RAM, the right processor, and the right amount of storage space. If you have those three things, then you can run or emulate anything. It just doesn't matter what it is. As long as it's whitelisted or sanctioned, you're allowed to run, or you can run, anything you want. I don't know what BlackBerry's going to do, but I would exploit the hell out of that.
And I would expect, if things are actually going on hold at this point, I wouldn't think it's on hold to get rid of something that they can't get rid of. I wouldn't think it would be to get rid of something that they're still getting new security certifications for. There may be a large jump that we see coming up, and that they just don't have the time to deal with these various development methods as they're working on it. This is totally playing what if now, because this is things that we've talked about and I've thought about. But I mean, honestly, we look at native development within BB10. Has there really been much return on investment for BlackBerry in that? I don't think there has. It's great. We've got some great apps. We have some great developers. But as a whole, we're not getting what will drag people to BB10. Which is the big apps. We're not getting the big commercial apps coming over and making native apps for us. Why would they continue to develop this native coding as opposed to pushing towards universal apps? It's like I could totally see them letting Cascade's development go by the wayside for now as they push towards universal apps.
Well, I've often said this, and I'm not a developer, so maybe I don't deserve to say this, but to me, today, the answer is that you would start with HTML5, because all decent recent devices understand HTML5. Look at your browser. You can go test it for HTML5 compatibility and ability. And it's gotten to a point where HTML5 is becoming a development platform that can deal with, it's very cross-platform. So if you look at HTML5 and then all you have to do is write the software basically in HTML5, and then you just need to change some things for each platform to give it the look and feel that platform is used to. So BB10 looks like this. iOS looks like that. Android looks like this and that. But to write your core app in HTML5 gives it the 80% or whatever it is. 80% of the work is done, and then the other 20% is making it look like the operating system that you're running it under. Where was I?
Well, Bartron's actually a coder. Yeah. I mean, does that make sense, Bartron? That I mean, why would we continue? Not we, but why would they continue to push Cascades in a time that they're going cross-platform?
I'm thinking maybe they're porting, making Cascades cross-platform.
That could be.
In the same way that you have Qt. Is cross-platform. So you write your code for that interface, all the UI stuff. That's cross-platform. Java. In fact, if I remember correctly, Android apps are in fact Java apps that are run on the Java VM.
They are.
Really, to run an Android app, you just need a Java VM with the right extensions and whatever kernel modifications at the operating system level, and you can run your Android app. That's another reason why I think it's more likely that Google will, let's say, move Android to like a QNX or base it on BB10 than it is for BlackBerry to scrap BB10 and switch to Android. Again, it's very simple. The Android cannot be modified to meet BlackBerry's needs, but BlackBerry 10 appears to be could be modified to meet Google's needs. So that's the way I say it. Cascades. I think, a thing that really gets me upset when I read these Chicken Littles And you see a lot of them in development community. You know, I can tell you, I've been a developer now for over 15 years. They're not all very logical and rational. You got a bunch of Chicken Littles there. And when the Lou Gazzola posted his thing, how we're so committed to BlackBerry 10 and blah blah blah, and you see the Chicken Littles going off. Oh, you're not upgrading to Qt5, therefore you're abandoning BlackBerry 10, and okay, so maybe they don't have a roadmap. Maybe they are going to discontinue it, but that doesn't mean they're not going to come up with something better. Maybe they're discontinuing because they have something much better in the pipeline.
BB11?
People don't think like that. They say, oh, they're discontinuing Cascades. We're screwed. That's it. They're abandoning. They're switching to Android. Well, no. Maybe they just come up with a better version. Maybe they're waiting for Qt 5 point something.
Yeah, and that's a good point. There's those specific development platforms, and then there's the HTML5 that I was talking about, which is kind of cross platform, and there's a pile of different ways to get what you want. But you're right, Bartron. To be sniveling and whining and freaking out and being a Chicken Little about a particular situation is kind of retarded. People need to remember that the mobile space is probably the most, for lack of a better term, mobile or changing space than any other space. You look at desktop PCs or whatever. That started to ramp up, and it got ridiculous. And now we're all in a mobile space. The mobile space is the most rapidly moving space on the planet as far as hardware and software goes. So, I saw 2 pieces of equipment over the last week where a device this size is your PC. This is your PC. There's something called Kangaroo and something called something else, whatever. But it's a complete Windows 10 box with HDMI, multiple USB outputs, and whatnot in this size. And you stick it in your pocket. The mobile space is the most quickly moving space, period.
You guys are reminding me of a comment Chen made. He said, because I do try to, whenever he's in an interview or something, I try to listen carefully for any, read between the lines kind of things, but I guess we all do. But, he said this is not a financial re-engineering situation, this turnaround. He said this is about technology and markets. And if I put those two together, they make sense with what we're talking about here, that, he said from the beginning our core competency is serving the enterprise, and now he's trying to branch out and reach some consumers as well with Android, but he's not going to just ditch the enterprise, and we all know Android's just not going to serve it as well. So, but he said that it's about technology too. So maybe there's something down the road that's a little over my head in terms of the OS, something hybrid like you guys are talking about. It's kind of exciting to see. I don't know when we'd find out about it, but that's it. I just thought of his quote. That's all.
Good stuff. I think we've hit our time limit for the night. Do we have anything
Why? What are
else
you
we
talking
really
about?
want?
What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, you know, stuff. Talking about stuff.
How long have we been on?
Hour and 15 or so.
Yeah,
Hour and a half.
Thank you, Spock.
I would feel bad for other people having to listen to us for that long. Last week we went well over that, but I think we do okay in small doses. Anybody that lasts over an hour with us, I apologize to them now.
Right. Well, whatever. I mean, it's fun. What we do is fun. We sit here, and I wish we were all in the same living room or boardroom or whatever
Well,
the
that's
hell.
because you're grabby, Dave. You're just grabby, and you want us to be
Not to be confused with crabby,
there.
because I'm not,
They call
But
him
anyway.
Dave the Human Octopus in high school, so...
Anyway, shut up. No, I'm just saying it'd be cool to all be in the same place and have this same conversation, like with a pizza and a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, so donate here, send us all to Vegas. No, I'm joking.
I think I'm going to die.
All right, guys, let's call it for the night. We'll do this again next week. We'll try and get back to our regular Friday night unless we enjoy Sundays better. I really don't know. I kind of enjoyed today as opposed to...
No, that was cool. Like, are we going to do Sundays now or Fridays?
Maybe we'll ask. If you've made it to an hour and some odd minutes in our podcast and you'd prefer to have us on Sunday or Friday, let us know.
Sunday works best for me.
Does it?
Sunday at this time works best for me.
Okay, well, there's one vote.
Maybe we'll do that.
There's one.
And apparently Sundays don't work well for James because he disappeared on us. He left. All right.
What the hell's up with that?
He had to leave. He had more striking things to do, more important things.
Yeah.
He heard Dave was going to get grabby, so he ran. All right, guys, let's call it. Good night. We'll see you next week on Friday or Sunday, to be determined.
Or something.
And by next week, we'll
run
know
a poll.
more about the Priv.
Yeah, let's run a poll. Yeah.
There you go, a poll. We'll do a poll.
We'll run it up the poll. Yep. Yeah. That's right.
Like JP's underpants. Okay.
Yeah.
Good night, guys.
Okay, see you later.